In this video we return once more to Warhammer the Old World to try out the next scenario from the rulebook at 500 points. And again this is a narrative battle with named characters to drive the conflict. For this game we are moving our battlefield out of the Old World and to the far east to the fabled Isle of Nippon. In the Warhammer world, Nippon is essentially a fantasy version of medieval Japan, with units inspired by Japanese history and folklore. Although Games Workshop has turned its back on Nippon, with no official army list being released since 3rd edition, a number of unofficial fan lists have been produced over the years. But now with the release of the Old World, there is no reason why an enterprising owner of a Nipponese army cannot proxy unit types by borrowing troop entries from other lists. For my army, I've taken troop types mainly from the Empire army list, as this is a good fit for the characters and the infantry. Our Ashigaru units are represented by Empire state troops armed appropriately. Our general is Oroku Saki, leader of the Ashi clan and a fearless warrior skilled in martial arts. The Witch Hunter hero profile best suits his abilities. We also have a Shugenja wizard called Tripitaka, who is represented by an Empire battle mage. Whilst for our unit of samurai armed with Yumi bows, we've selected High Elf archers. Taking on the Nipponese in this game are the demonic spawn of Nurgle. They are led by Festral, Herald of the Plague. In Nippon, demons are referred to as Oni, and are usually depicted as large imposing humanoids, so we selected Demons of Nurgle to best fit this image. Festral has been summoned to the mortal plane with the intent of spreading a virulent outbreak amongst the living, certain that the Nipponese will likely blame their neighbours the Cathayans for the spreading plague. As Festral represents an Oni demon, he is physically powerful but also a skilled sorcerer. He leads a unit of 9 Oni, which are represented by Plague Bearers, with 10 Chaos Furies and 2 Beasts of Nurgle. Our battlefield is set up to represent the rolling countryside of Nippon. And once again the battlefield is 3 feet by 4 feet or 90 by 120 centimeters. The scenario we shall be playing today is Flank Attack, where up to 1/3 of each player's army must be declared as a flanking force, which will be the last deployment drop for either army on a predetermined flank unknown to the opponent. The battlefield features 2 low hills which are open ground for all units. There are 2 small woods which count as difficult ground. We have 2 large rocks which are impassable. 1 marsh which counts as difficult ground but does not block line of sight. And there is 1 hedgerow which is a linear obstacle. The game will be played for 6 turns or until one side wipes the other out. With the battlefield set, both players roll off to pick board edges and Festral wins, deploying his first unit. With a din akin to the beating of 40,000 warhammers and a stench to match, the Plague Bearers are belched forth into reality. These fearsome foot soldiers will be more than a match for any human units that cross their path. Festral deploys at their head, brimming with unholy power. For his demonic spell he has the Summoning. On the opposite side of the battlefield, the Nippon army begins to deploy. The first unit are 20 Ashigaru, armed with light armour and halberds called Naginata. Next to deploy on the demon's side are 10 Chaos Furies. These flying horrors will provide some mobility to the otherwise slow-moving Nurgle units. They deploy close to their general Festral, dependent as they are upon his leadership to keep them in the fight. The Nipponese then deploy their second unit of Ashigaru. These are armed with the Yari, or Nipponese spear, so we use Empire state troops with spears to represent them. Oroku Saki deploys at the head of his spearmen. His lethal martial arts are represented nicely by an additional hand weapon, whilst his deadly shuriken are represented by a pistol. For his Witch Hunter special ability he chooses Suffer Not the Demon to Live, which grants both himself and the Yari Ashigaru magical attacks and hatred. Lastly, the Shugenja wizard Tripitaka is deployed next to the Naginata Ashigaru. For his spell he has taken Flaming Sword. Festral now springs his trap and deploys his flanking force, which consists of 2 Beasts of Nurgle. These bloated horrors will anchor the army's right flank, and their unnatural resilience should permit them to weather the storm of arrows and cross the board to engage the enemy in close combat, where their poisonous slime and foul odours should easily overcome the humans. The Demons of Nurgle are now fully deployed for battle, and Festral's plan is a simple one: advance across the board at full speed and crush the puny humans beneath their heels. The final unit to arrive is the flanking force of samurai, who arrive on the Nipponese left flank. These proud warriors are skilled with their Yumi bows and wear light armour, but they are also deadly in close combat. They take up position behind a nearby hill, ready to advance and claim the high ground. With both armies now fully deployed, the Demons of Nurgle get to make a vanguard move. With a hideous squawking and flapping of leathery wings, the Furies take to the air and ascend the nearby hill. From this position they can easily outflank the approaching Nipponese. Oroku Saki seizes the initiative and takes the first turn, and across the board all Nipponese units advance towards the enemy. The samurai archers crest the nearby hill, bringing the enemy into bow range. Their Yumi bows have sufficient range to target the Plague Bearers or the Furies. Sensing that the Plague Bearers are the greatest threat, the samurai unleash a volley of arrows into the foul creatures. Although fully half of the shots fly true, only 1 resilient Plague Bearer is brought down. In the Demon's first turn, Festral's forces advance across the battlefield at full rate. With a noisome squelch, the Furies land amongst the mud of the marsh, their hideous presence only adding to the malodorous stench of the stagnant water. In the centre, Festral and his Plague Bearers march straight towards the Ashigaru, humming a dirge as they go, whilst on the right flank the Beasts of Nurgle lumber forwards. In the shooting phase, Festral attempts to summon a swarm of Nurglings right on top of the Ashigaru to inflict serious damage. However, the spell fails. In turn 2, Oroku Saki orders the Naginata Ashigaru to about face and turn to their right to counter the advance of the Furies, and Tripitaka also joins this unit. On the hill, the Yumi bows of the samurai target the Plague Bearers once again, but fail to fell any of the foul fiends. In Demon Turn 2, the infantry and Beasts of Nurgle advance into charge range of the Ashigaru, whilst the Furies launch a devastating charge against Tripitaka's unit. As the Furies did not roll highly on their charge move, only 6 models can make it into the fighting rank. But thanks to their furious charge, they can still dish out an impressive number of attacks. And in the combat phase, the Furies rip apart 3 Ashigaru, although Tripitaka escapes unscathed. In return, the heavy blow from a Naginata halberd severs the head clean from a Fury. And when the dust settles, thanks to their ranks, standard and close order, the Ashigaru actually win combat by 1 point. However, thanks to the nearby presence of Festral, the Furies easily pass their break test and give ground. With the Demon's initial strike warded off, at least for now, what can the Nipponese do in return? Oroku Saki responds with a full-on charge straight into the Plague Bearers. With a tactical wheel during the charge, he avoids clipping the Beasts of Nurgle and bringing them into the combat. Oroku Saki aims his blade straight at the demon general, hoping to cut the head off this snake. As his men crash into the Plague Bearer's lines, they realise with horror that these demons resemble mutated turtles. According to legend, such creatures were a common sight in Nippon during his father's time, but Oroku Saki never believed he would meet one in the flesh. Summoning his courage, Oroku Saki gives a rousing speech to his men.
Together we will punish these creatures. These turtles.
In the shooting phase, the samurai archers switch targets and now shoot at the Beasts of Nurgle. One arrow flies true and punctures the beast's flabby belly. The demon fails to regenerate, so we record one wound against its base. In combat, the ongoing struggle between the Furies and the Naginata Ashigaru continues first. With their unnaturally quick reflexes, the demons go first, striking at Tripitaka and also wounding one Ashigaru. Although the wizard is hurt, he's still standing. Summoning his sorcerer's powers, the wizard then unleashes his flaming sword spell into the Furies. Festral fails to dispel the enemy magic, and the burning blade causes havoc on the demons, who are of course weak to magic. 4 Furies are destroyed outright by the spell, but the blows from the infantry caused no additional damage this turn. When the dice stop rolling, Tripitaka's unit have won combat handsomely thanks to their ranks and standard, and the Furies are forced to give ground, although they lose only one model due to instability, thanks to the nearby presence of Festral. The combat between the general's 2 units is worked out next, with both Oroku Saki and Festral eager to engage the other in mortal combat. Pushing the other turtles out of the way, Festral speaks first.
I challenge.
Whilst Oroku Saki nods silently to accept, limiting his thoughts to an internal monologue.
Death comes for us all, Oroku Saki, but something much worse comes for you.
With lightning reflexes, Oroku Saki strikes first, landing 3 hits against Festral's immense bulk. Festral laughs at the puny attempts, confident that his unnatural vitality will see him through the fight. But Oroku Saki is a skilled demon hunter, and 2 of his strikes are killing blows.
Demon! Here I come!
Flawless victory.
The warriors of the Ashi clan go next, but they cannot penetrate the tough hides of the turtles. In return, 3 foot soldiers of the Ashi clan drop lifeless to the dust. At the end of combat, Oroku Saki's unit is victorious, but only by the slenderest of margins, once again thanks to their ranks and standard. The demons pass their instability test and give ground, whilst the Yari Ashigaru fail to restrain and reform and chase the demons with a follow-up move. In turn 3, the Beasts of Nurgle seek revenge by smashing into the flank of the Yari Ashigaru. With their general dead and all units now locked in combat, play passes to the combat phase. The combat with the Furies goes first, with them trying to assassinate Tripitaka once and for all, but all they can manage is to bring down another Ashigaru. In reply, between the magical attack of Tripitaka and the heavy blows of the Naginata halberds, 3 Furies are destroyed. They lose combat and fail their break test, destroying the unit. The victorious Ashigaru pass a restraint and reform test and about face towards the Beasts of Nurgle. In the centre, the combat against Oroku Saki's unit turns decidedly against him, with both he and his warriors failing to cause any damage to the enemy. The mutant turtles kill off 6 members of the Ashi clan this round, and with the Beasts of Nurgle in their flank, the Ashigaru cannot use their ranks to steady them. They lose combat significantly and are forced to fall back in good order. This triggers a panic test in Tripitaka's unit, but thankfully they pass. The Plague Bearers are quick to pursue their foe, but as they move first they block off a legal charge for the Beasts of Nurgle, who instead choose to restrain and reform and face the archers. In turn 4, Tripitaka's unit sees the flank of the Plague Bearers presented for a charge and duly obliges. In shooting, the samurai archers once again target the Beasts of Nurgle but fail to cause any damage. In the combat phase, the leader of the mutant turtles singles out Oroku Saki for another challenge.
Get over here! Round 2, fight!
But this turn, Oroku Saki's deadly blade strikes true.
Fatality.
The clashing blades of the Ashigaru fell 3 more Plague Bearers this turn, and although 2 infantrymen are slain in return, the Nipponese win the combat handsomely. The demons fail their demonic break test and are forced to give ground, losing some more models to instability as they go. As there is insufficient room for both units to follow up the Plague Bearer, Oroku Saki's unit takes the initiative and goes first, whilst Tripitaka's unit is content to stay put. With careful positioning once more, Oroku Saki's unit can avoid a flank charge by the Beasts of Nurgle next turn. In their turn 4, the Beasts of Nurgle duly oblige by charging into Oroku Saki's unit, although only one of the enormous creatures can fit into base contact. The humans hold firm, and in the combat phase, Oroku Saki cuts down the last remaining mutant turtle. For its part, the Beast of Nurgle rolls poorly and fails to kill off any humans. Instability takes its toll on the demons, and they are forced to give ground, with one Beast of Nurgle dissolving into a pile of sludge. Oroku Saki's unit follows up the remaining demon, eager to cut it down next turn. In Nippon turn 5, we move straight to combat with the Beast of Nurgle able to challenge Oroku Saki.
Final round, fight! Finish him!
However, Oroku Saki's blades fail to penetrate the thick hide of the beast, and in return he is crushed beneath its bulk, suffering broken bones. Downed but not out, Oroku Saki's Ashi clan swarm around their leader, and the demon is banished back from whence it came due to instability. With all the demons now removed from play, victory goes to the Ashi clan. So although this game ended in a rather one-sided defeat for the demons, there were moments where it looked like the tables were turning and the Nipponese were in full retreat. Certainly if Festral could have cast his spell successfully, he would have caused enormous damage to the Nipponese lines. And at the end of the game, both Nipponese characters were reduced to a single wound. So luck certainly played its part in keeping the Nipponese on top. Once again, it was the clash of characters which determines the outcome of the whole battle, without the need to tool them up with magic items. Whilst the army selections showcase that you can have fun at 500 points by just sticking to basic troops, one thing that really shone out is that the Witch Hunter special rules provide a hard counter for the Empire when fighting against demons, whereas the demon army list appears to have had its power level somewhat reduced. Overall, I hope that this battle report has inspired you to try out list building for yourself, using troop types from more than one list to suit your own model collection. And this is because rule sets will come and go, but I'm a firm believer that you should use the rules to suit your models, not the other way round.